welcome to Ring Talk. Myself, Martin Theobald, later to be joined by Steve Goodwin, and we're going to go through all of the boxing news from the world. But I'm going to start it off myself. We'll touch upon what happened in the UK this weekend. So, the main events, Lee Selby lost to Georgie Kambosos Jr. In a eliminator to fight Teofimo Lopez for his world titles. Wasn't that interesting, was it really? I don't need to see Lee Selby as a co-main event on a pay-per-view these days, if I'm honest. Having seen him against Ricky Burns, I don't think there's a lot left in the tank. He hasn't changed his style in years. It doesn't seem to be effective at lightweight. That didn't sell me a pay-per-view. In the main event, I thought it was what was anticipated. Chisora did better than maybe was thought that he would do. Fair play to him. But again, we'll come on to it later. But losing ultimately to Usyk, and I think that's beyond question. Over in America, Naoya Inoue, great knockout against Maloney. The monster. It says it all about him. But speaking of monsters, Tank, Gervonta Davis, that uppercut. Go and find it. Go and see it. Against Leo Santa Cruz, just a step to the left, counters the shot, fires the uppercut, and just a great finish. Santa Cruz, thankfully, was okay. I believe left hospital on the Sunday, but what a shot. Speaking of leaving hospital, shout out to Hannah Rankin, who put up a brave performance against Savannah Marshall, but ultimately not in Savannah Marshall's kind of league in her class, and I think that's probably known before the fight. As much as we wanted Hannah to get the win, it always seemed unlikely, and it was unlikely. Over in America, outside of the ring, Deontay Wilder, God knows what's going on with him at the moment, but his litany of excuses, litany of reasons for the Tyson Fury loss, the video that was put out this week. Again, go and find it, have a look. What's going on with Deontay, I don't know. I hope the man's okay. I hope he's all right, but he needs to put a plug in it at the moment, because there's an awful lot that he's coming out with that doesn't make a lot of sense. So yeah, that's kind of a roundup of the world of boxing. Now I'm going to hook up with Steve, and we'll bring you the rest of Ring Talk.
Right, so we're on with Mr. Goodwin. How are you?
I'm good, mate. How you doing, mate?
I'm really good. I'm really good.
From last week, I see.
Yeah, no, I'm COVID free. I've got some brownies waiting for me downstairs from a community group thing that I haven't started eating yet. So no, my evening's sorted.
That's good. You're away. You're away with it. So.
I'm away. Are you going to stay up and watch the US elections? By the time this goes out, the result will be known. But
I might do. I'm not that far. Well, I don't think the result will be known, because I think it's likely that whatever the result, Mr. Trump won't accept. I think the risk to the markets is that he won't accept it. I mean, shops are boarding up, ready for the trouble. What you need to happen for there to be a thing is there to be a result tonight without the postal votes. Then if he's winning or close before the postal votes come in, there could be nightmares around the corner.
Does that affect your financial advisory work?
Yeah, because in effect, what will happen is that clients' portfolios could take a tumble short term while it gets sorted out. So I've got, for example, at the moment, a client with a huge amount of money to invest. Now, I invested some more money last week because I've taken the chance that won't happen. And on Friday, I invested more, which has been, we've seen the surge up. Once I knew Boris was going to announce a lockdown, markets are going to go up. Now, it's quite a crazy thing. You'd think as soon as lockdown comes in, markets will fall. That's not what happened. Because the markets knew it was coming, but they wanted certainty of when. So as soon as they get some certainty, markets rise. So if Biden wins in the election and it's certain, then markets will continue to build up, to go forward. If, however, there's uncertainty and Trump contests it, then markets are going to fall. So people are going to have to sustain volatility in the markets. Whereas what we want to see is no more wobbles like we had last week. We want to see markets move forward because there's more confidence in investing. The more confidence there's investing, the more investments I take on, the more money I make people, the more money everybody makes. So yeah, it has quite a big effect. So
Right. So you'll be interested even if not up live watching it.
yeah, well, I just want to know if it's clear. If it's not clear, then I think we're in for a lot of troubles.
Right. Right. What was clear, Gervonta Davis's uppercut. Whack.
That was good, wasn't it?
Oh, what a shot. Did you watch the whole fight?
Watched it. He's good, isn't he? He's good. But who wins, Davis or Lopez?
I don't know. I don't even know who I'd want to win either because I love both of them.
A great fight. Yeah, I think I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great fight, but I don't think Teofimo should just go into back-to-back fights like that. I think he needs to build. He needs to. Here's a couple of easier fights for. You don't want him at that age going into those fights back-to-back.
He's going to have a very short career if he does.
Yeah, exactly. But no, great fight. So
yeah, I love watching Davis. He's one of those rare boxers that's got the ability to walk forward and defend at the same time.
I agree.
Where he walks forward just using his gloves just to tap everything that's coming at him. I love watching him. I think he's special.
Yeah. Two special fighters with the same weight, in effect. They can fight each other. So
yeah. Then Devin Haney this weekend, isn't there? Who I'm not sold on him yet.
Neither am I. I don't think he beats either of them two.
No, and beating Gamboa this weekend won't do a lot for his resume either.
No. I think that's what happens. But more to the point, Eddie's having a few problems, isn't he?
Yeah, so I forgot to do about this on the intro. So yeah, let's talk about. So Alexander Povetkin fails COVID-19 test. He's used to testing positive, isn't he? Makes no odds to him.
Yeah, we normally test positive and they ignore the result. Doesn't he? I'm surprised.
Yeah.
He's going ahead.
Are they going to test his B sample?
You can say that sort of stuff. I can't.
No, just generally. I'm not referencing it.
They've rescheduled it for the end of Jan, haven't they? They've rescheduled it. So.
Yeah, so they said they're going to reschedule it end of Jan, but in the meantime, White may end up fighting in November. Have you seen Michael Hunter's come out tonight and said he'll fight either Dillian White or Tyson Fury for free? He'll do it for free. Yeah, just to
catch.
No, there isn't one. He said that he can't get a fight, so he'll come and fight either of them for free. Just an opportunity to come and prove his worth.
That's hard to turn down. And Mr. Chisol's come out and wants White number 3, doesn't he, today?
Yeah, you don't need a trilogy when you're 2-0 down, do you?
No, I agree.
It doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah, even though he's not really 2-0 down. But yeah, I don't think we need to see that again.
Yeah, and I think it was Craig Scott who tweeted, you'd be far more interested if the results happened the other way round.
Yes. No,
if it was a knockout in the first and then a contentious point decision in the second, then a third is justifiable. But no one needs to see a third with the way it ended last time.
No, I agree. So, no, we'll have to see. And obviously, which I've just told you, Dion Juma's out of the Riakporhe fight. He's had a slight injury and he's not going to make the 21st, so Dion's out. So that doesn't help that card because that was one of the undercard. Doherty, obviously,
he's fighting Cullen, isn't he?
Yeah, Cullen. Jamie Cox has pulled out, so Cullen's now fighting Doherty on the 14th.
That's a hell of a step up for Doherty, isn't it?
Isn't it? And obviously, your best friend Ebony Bridges, the girl in the bikini, she's out. So now that's a better fight, as you said before we filmed.
Yeah, so they've got some Argentinian, I don't know who she is, but her record's far better than Bridges, and it looks like she's there on merit rather than underwear, which, I can't have an issue with that.
I mean, that's an interesting card. It's not a bad card now, to be honest. I'm quite looking forward to that card next week, so we'll see.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see with the whole White thing. Do you reckon they'll get anyone else in for him to fight? Or if they do, does it have to be someone that's pay-per-view worthy, or could they put him on a Saturday fight night?
I doubt if Dillian White will want to go on a Saturday. He'll want pay-per-view money, won't he? So if he wants pay-per-view money, I don't think you're going to get somebody that's going to sell a pay-per-view. I don't think Chisora White 3 sells a pay-per-view, do you? But again, I was surprised how many people I know decided to pay for last week's. I mean, I was quite.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people, and I was. It's all personal choice, but people that I thought, and I just thought, if you're going to pay for that pay-per-view last week, then your acceptance of pay-per-view nowadays is reaching standards lower than I would expect. So maybe it does work as a pay-per-view. I honestly don't know anymore.
And it's sensible people like Dave Evans, the whip. Dave, you can't.
Max Budgeon, who always professed he did it.
You can't complain about the standard of pay-per-view and then pay for poor pay-per-views.
Kevin Campion did it. He paid for it.
Yeah, you can't complain about the poor standard and pay for it. Those two things don't align.
I mean,
You've got to take a stand.
I really don't mind. I have no problem paying for pay-per-views. Lomachenko Lopez, I paid for that.
As did I.
But I'm not paying for what I do not consider to be pay-per-view worthy. No, that's my choice, and everybody can have their own opinion. But all I think that's happening is by people buying this, standard of pay-per-view will get lower and lower and lower. And do you know what? I don't blame the promoters. This is not an insight on promoters. I blame the public. I blame people out there, whoever's watching this. You paid for that. If you're moaning about the card before or afterwards, then you shouldn't pay for it. If you think it's a good enough card, then pay for it, but you're just accepting that will be the norm. And if you think that's the norm, crack on and do it, you know?
If you're a promoter and you can get away with it and you get 250,000 buys, I can't blame you for doing that. I can't blame you at all.
Telling you that
If
people pay, yeah.
If you're a punter and you're willing to pay 20 quid for something you don't think is worth 20 quid, then that's on you. If there's 250,000 of you, fair enough. It's not for me. It's not for me.
I actually think next week is probably better in terms of competitiveness than last week, and that's not pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And I think next week is a far better card, even though it's in boxing, it's a far better card. But it's just, but it is, listen, it is what it is, and people have their own views. But what people don't realise is by the acceptance of what 3 years ago would be laughed at as a pay-per-view card, but now accepting it 3 years later, you're just accepting the fact you're going to have to pay for much more boxing of lower level cards than you would have done 3 years ago. The standard is dropping.
Yeah, and the price isn't. If you drop the price and said, okay, maybe it's a tenner, then you can maybe get on board with that in the same way Fight TV did for Lomachenko Lopez being a tenner because it's at 4 o'clock in the morning. Cool, I can be okay with that.
But the thing is, we must be wrong, Martin. 250,000 other people are right. So our views are wrong.
Well, what are there, 37 million in the country, is it? Something like that?
Yeah, I suppose so. Not all the boxing fans. But no. Yeah, but I know.
0.7%.
I mean, it's like this Premier League football. People, I wouldn't pay £15 to watch a game of football, and I think the figures have been really poor. But if people had started paying for that, you'd have ended up paying for more football pay-per-view. By people not paying for it, you make sure that you tell the broadcaster, no, we're not accepting that. We want better for our money. But if 250,000 people have said, here's my 20 quid, well, there you go.
Yeah. So let's touch on the card anyway, rather than complain about the price. I didn't see all of it, if I'm honest. I
saw every single fight. I went round somebody else's house who had it, and I suppose you could say I ponced from them, but it was, it's fine. I went to watch it, so I did see it. So I'll
jump in where I saw it, but you give us a review.
Okay, first fight was Amy Timlin, Carla Skelly. Great fight that you'd normally see at your call. I've got to credit both girls. I think it was a really good fight to watch. I thought, but this is how, I will say something about judging now. It's not that difficult to score a fight. 96, 95, 95, 95, 96, 97. How hard is it to score a fight right on the borderlines, pretty much accurate. I had Carly Skelly nicking it, but you couldn't have argued it either way. The cards were fair, sensible, made some sort of sense. So I thought with that fight, but both girls had a great fight. I think I'd watch it again. and I think full credit to both of them. But it was the level of girls is a York Hall. It's not a pay-per-view fight. I mean, I'm quite sure that I've got one or two females in my stable that would beat both of them now. So, yeah, for me, should it be it's a York Hall Goodwin.
It doesn't kick off a pay-per-view.
It's a Goodwin Saturday night show that we put out at 8 o'clock before the main events of a Goodwin show on a Saturday at York Hall. There we go. That was the first fight. Then you see Ramla Ali, who fought a girl that was pretty moderate. Ramla Ali has got a big following. She's talking about going back to the amateurs. I wasn't particularly impressed. She was okay. Again, I watched it because I wanted to see what she was like, but that's what it was. We then had, I think the next one was Tommy McCarthy, Bilal Lagoon. Lagoon, who didn't have a bad record on paper. If you look around his belly, he was fleshy, didn't look fit. He didn't look like he'd had a proper camp. Looked like he was probably more interested. He was giving it a go, a bit more interested in the money. Tommy McCarthy was okay. Chris Billum-Smith and Dion Juma both beat him comfortably. He's what he is. He's a competent cruiserweight, but he goes up a level, he gets beat. But, to be honest, it was a majority decision. The Belgian judge gave it 114. The others won by 3 and 4. It just wasn't that. It wasn't a great fight. I know Eddie Hearn described it as a great fight. It wasn't a great fight. I don't know if you saw that one yourself, but
nope.
Okay, we move on to Savannah against Hannah. Exactly what I thought would happen. Hannah was outgunned. She's fighting above what her weight that she should be boxing at. Savannah was too big, too skillful, too strong. Hannah probably shared the opening round, and then it was a one-way traffic until she was stopped in the 7th.
So I did see the back end of this one, probably the last 2 or 3 rounds. I was so impressed with Savannah Marshall.
Well, she's brilliant. She beats Claressa Shields, in my opinion. I think she's excellent. I think Hannah was just above her head. Doesn't mean Hannah can't win titles, but it has to be carefully selected. And that's not being at a lower weight. So I think she can win world titles, I do. But there's world titles to be won, but she's not going to beat the elite at those weights. So, but Hannah, I mean, she's tough. I mean, she's a great advocate for the sport. Full credit to her, but she's above her head. And, I'd like to see Hannah be matched a little bit more sensibly to build up a resume and then go in for a fight. And to me, I know if Hannah was watching this, she'd probably say to me, what you're talking about, I want to take all these fights on. But there's no point taking these fights on if you keep losing them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think aside from that, Savannah Marshall, she looks brilliant. Like, you can see that Peter Fury style about her. She's got that. She's like a female Huey Fury at times, with that left hand held so low, almost down by her knee, and then just snaps the jab out when she wants it. But she's got that. She's far more aggressive than a Huey Fury. Whether that's because Hannah wasn't at her level, don't know. But
do it when you're fighting somebody who probably Hannah should be a welterweight, and she's fighting somebody at middleweight who has been campaigning at super middleweight. The difference in size was humongous. And Hannah is a very, very capable and good fighter. But you can't fight 2 weights above your natural weight against somebody that will be a really decent world champion, in my opinion. But I know fighters do what they do, but I don't blame Hannah. I'm just not, and I understand why she wants to take all these fights, but sometimes you have to guide fighters. She's no amateur experience. That's her 12th fight. Look who she's been in against 12 fights.
Yeah.
Hasn't won any of them. And she's took probably beatings in some of them. And she won't have a long career if she keeps going into these sort of fights. And I hope there's a bit of reflection, and I hope that she's allowed to develop a little bit more at the right weight before going in for bigger fights. So, but I wish Hannah all the best. I think she's wonderful, Hannah, but it does infuriate me to see her in fights like that sometimes.
And then Lee Selby, Georgie Kambosos.
Thank God Lee Selby lost. And I know it sounds awful because there's a lot of Lee Selby fans out there. But I'm
Are
just,
there?
I
I
just,
don't think there are. I'm going to be honest.
a lot of people like Jamie Spake loves him. A lot of people down there were saying that he won from the Bristol area were saying that he won the fight clearly. I don't think Lee's a great watch, and Kambosos came to fight. I thought Lee Selby's supposed to be a really nice fella, but as I said last week, he's 33. The only thing that could, in my opinion, that could lose him, that Kambosos could lose the fight, is dodgy judging. Well, we had, in my opinion, one suspect card. You scored 118, 110 Kambosos, 116, 112 Kambosos, but the British judge gives it 115, 114 Selby. For me, I said that when I watched that, I said I think he'll win 2-1 on the cards. And that, to me, I thought Kambosos, I said to you last week, Kambosos was a bet if you could be sure the judges would score it right. And
Yeah.
two of them did, and he won. So if I'd known it was going to be scored right, I'd have backed Kambosos, because I didn't think Selby would win. I thought that he would overpower Lee in the later rounds. But to be honest, Selby isn't, and I think he's done really well in his career, but he's not a fighter that I personally look forward to watching. But I could watch that Kambosos fight again.
Yeah. No, Selby.
One of them.
He came up from featherweight, jumped super featherweight, goes straight to lightweight. And I think for years we've heard that he was so big at featherweight and he needed to expand his body, he needed to grow. Maybe he did it too late. Maybe at 30, 31 after the Warrington fight, probably. Yeah. Maybe he's too late to go into being a lightweight and growing his body for it. But he hasn't shown any increase in power, any change in style for his change in weights. And I think I have zero interest in Lee Selby. And that's not being horrible, because, as you said, credit to him, credit to the Sanagars, credit to Tony Borg. Between all of them, they've done a phenomenal job in taking him to where he's been in his career. But I don't need to see Lee Selby as the main support of a pay-per-view, because he's fucking dross to watch. That'd be my view. I cannot stand... And I was there for Reggie Prograis, Josh Taylor, where he fought Ricky Burns on the undercard. I'm not even joking to say that half of the O2 just upped and left after about 3 or 4 rounds to go and get a drink, because it was dire. And every fight I can think of that Lee Selby's involved in for the last 5 years follows the same pattern. And it doesn't do a lot for me at all. Probably the most interesting fight that he's been in that I can remember is the Josh Warrington one. That was only because of Josh Warrington.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So no, I've had enough of seeing Lee Selby at the top of cards in the year 2020. 2021.
Well, I think that's him done. That's him done now. They're not going to reinvent him back again. I don't think so. But you never know. He lost by a split, so maybe he'll get another chance.
Well, I'll go down to Barry quite often. Well, not quite often, but often enough. So I might bump into him. He might take objection to my view of his current career. But he's had a great career, and that's, he's in that stage where they should have just done a Legends tour of him versus Ricky Burns versus Anthony Crolla versus Lee Selby. Just let all that lot fight. And if you want to watch it, cool. If you don't worry about it.
No, I think that's fair. But to me, I was happy to see Kambosos win, because I think he's a more entertaining fight and he's somebody I want to see in the future fight.
Yeah, although he's going to get wiped out by Lopez if that fight.
Lopez will absolutely annihilate him, but he's exciting to watch. He's an exciting character. Lee Selby, I hope that he says at 33, I had a great career and it's time to stop. I hope if he carries on, then he's only going to go further and further down the cards and down the order. So
yeah,
that's my view. And then we're
in the main event.
It was what I thought. I thought Usyk would have too much skill. I thought Chisora actually put up a better performance and a closer performance than I thought he would. But I don't think it was ever in doubt. I don't think that Usyk was anywhere near what I thought he was going to be. And I thought he still won. I think we saw two things. This is the things that I thought. I thought Derek showed his usual heart. He gave everything. I actually think he looked old at the same time. I thought he was showing signs of his age. He was blowing badly after 4. He came back, but I thought he showed signs of age. I think his corner team needs shooting. I thought
Yep.
they were appalling. Since, you're getting rid of Don Charles, you get rid of Dave Caldwell, and you bring them people in. I mean, you can't be serious. That's not going to help him. And I know from when I managed him how much he needed a corner team. When we went to Monaco and Don Charles couldn't get there, he was terrible without having a lead figure in his corner. And I felt that he needed real help in that corner. Some of the instructions were just shocking. One thing was punch with him. What? You punch him, you want them to punch with somebody faster than you. If you punch with somebody faster than you, they're going to hit you. You're going to punch together and you're going to get hurt all the time. It was nonsense. So I thought that was poor, but I thought I've got to give credit to him once again. I think he gave a great fight. He really, really tried, but Usyk was too good for him. But Usyk is not beating any of the major heavyweights on that performance.
I would agree.
I'm going to whack him to the body and hurt him.
There's going to be, there's serious revisionist history about this fight already on the premise that Derek did better than people thought he would. That doesn't mean Derek won the fight. It just means there's. This sounds stupid. I don't mean it as I'm going to say it, but it's to say that Usyk is maybe overhyped as a heavyweight, not as a boxer, but as a heavyweight, and all the glory that comes with everything he did at cruiserweight is that massive step up into heavyweights. And Derek is maybe the 5th best heavyweight in Britain. You got Fury, Joshua, White, Dubois, Joyce.
And Fury again. The other Fury is better than him.
Fury probably beats Derek, so maybe that puts Derek as 7th best in the country. And Usyk, for me, won it by 2, maybe 3 rounds. Now, put any of those.
I had 8-4, but you can argue that. I mean, I haven't got from 8-4, whatever he's got, anything like that. But he won by 2 or 3 minimum. Yeah.
But now start putting Usyk in with any of those, the 5 above, and I'm not counting Joshua and Fury within that, but the 5 above it. So White, Dubois, Joyce.
I'm not sure White beats him.
I'm not saying he beats him necessarily, but if you think it was that close with Chisora, then it becomes closer with any of the ones above on paper.
You've got to stay with Derek. Let's look at it though. I thought he beat Dylan in the first fight. I think he was beating Dylan until he had a point taken off and was knocked out. So on that basis, I don't think Dylan beats Usyk.
I think he would.
Yeah, so that's interesting. I don't think Dylan beats Usyk.
And I think purely on a size basis, that when you started to see Derek getting the opportunity to fight on the inside and wear out Usyk a little bit by leaning on him, by making him feel his presence and his size, White is another, 3-4 stone probably on top of that they would build him into for a Usyk fight.
Yeah, I mean, I think Usyk would be better than that with a bit of preparation, but I'm not convinced Dylan beats him. Listen, Tyson Fury and Joshua smashing for a pole. I think Joyce beats him. I think
Dubois?
I think Dubois beats him. I think. See, the thing is, this is going to sound really bad. I'm not totally sold on Dylan. I'm just not. So I think he's a good fighter, but I'm not totally sold on him yet. So
no, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Horrible about him because I think he's been amazing. He's come from the small halls. He's done what he's done. I think his career has been amazing. But I'm not sold on him at the top level yet. I'm not.
Well, he's not beaten anyone at the top level.
No.
Being brutal about it. But, the Oscar Rivas, the Joseph Parker.
Beating Derek twice, once controversially and once when he's behind on points, getting floored by Parker, floored by Rivas. They're not performances that I think are... I think he's a really good fighter. I don't think he's world champion level. I think he's one of those just below that gets beat by those that are really going on to great things. That's my view.
Yeah, in the same way that Derek's turned into that.
Yeah, but Dylan's probably slightly is a bit. Yeah, but I think a little. A little bit above, but yeah.
Yeah, I'd say for Usyk, it's almost mad to discredit him as a fighter because what he's done is amazing. What he's done as a cruiserweight is amazing, and to have the balls and the brevity to step up into a heavyweight, I just think he's going to fall short. I don't.
He got hurt too easy. When he got hit to the body, he was. So when you get somebody who has got more stamina than Derek, that isn't 37 years of age like Derek is, that can keep that pressure on for longer, I think you're going to find he'll struggle. And that may be Dylan White. Maybe Dylan White beats him. But I think he's lacking. So you've got to put that fight in perspective. I thought, despite Derek doing so well, I thought that was the first fight that I'd seen him look old.
Yeah, I didn't really see that, if I'm honest. I thought I'm used to seeing Chisora look gassed after about 5 rounds, but he was getting his energy back and his momentum back after every round break.
Yeah.
So after that minute, he would come back out refreshed, and he would again, by 2 minutes into the round, look done. And you think, right, he's out the next round, and then he'd always come back at the start of the next one. So
I just thought he was a bit slower. I know he's not the fastest heavyweight, but I thought he was that bit slower than usual. That's my view. And because I remember I've watched him for quite a long time, because obviously being friends with Don Charles, I followed his career very closely. I managed Derek for 18 months or however long it was, 8 months, 2 years. So I followed his career.
Felt like 10.
Sorry?
Felt like 10.
You feel like 10. 10 decades, I mean, it's not years. But yeah, and so I thought he was that little bit slower than he had been before.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. How far do you reckon Usyk will go as a heavyweight?
Not that far, unless he's well matched. I think if I was matching him, I'd put him in with Joseph Parker. I think that's a good fight for him, Parker. I think that he could beat Parker. So I think that's a really good fight. If you're going to build him, get him in with Parker for the vacant title if Joshua moves on. Create the world champion, build him up with like that. Maybe give him another defence against a name that probably doesn't pose the physical threat that some of the others do. And then put him in for a multi-million-pound fight with Joshua or whatever it is you're going to do. And then that's the end of him then. Then he's done as heavy.
I think you need to avoid any world title fight next year for him. I think let Fury and Joshua go about their business. If they're going to fight, I guess it happens next year. Let them go about their business, get all the belts scattered after that, and they can go, once the belts become vacant.
The WBO may get scattered anyway, because if Joshua doesn't defend against Usyk, the question is Joshua really going to fight Fury? Is that going to happen? If he is, then if the WBO becomes available and he can fight somebody other than Joshua, I think he should do it. Especially if he can make it Park or somebody and win it's quite easy nowadays to get somebody in the rankings, isn't it? As we know.
Do you know the fight I want for him? And it's not been mentioned that I've seen. Wilder.
Wilder against Usyk?
Yeah. I think that'd be a great fight. Because, Usyk, everything that he does is just, he avoided he rolled so many of Chisora's shots. And Wilder is just reliant upon that electric right hand.
Yeah.
And Wilder seems to have been written off by the main talkers within boxing as, where's he gone? He's not interested, blah, blah, blah. That would be a brilliant opportunity for Wilder to come back and prove himself, still being relevant. And it's a brilliant opportunity for Usyk to beat, a world champion, a legitimate world champion.
Do you not think we're going to see Fury Wilder?
No, I don't think we will.
Do you think we'll see Fury Joshua?
I do. I do think we're going to end up seeing that next year. And I might be naive in my hope, but I think the fact that Warren is less involved with Fury's career these days, and it seems to be Top Rank that do the management with MTK, I think that just removes some of the hurdles that would have been there historically.
And I think that will be a summer stadium fight because COVID will be done by then. And I think we'll see fights next June. So I could see that in the summer next year at Wembley or something.
And actually, everybody's got a balance book that's looking a bit weak this year. they could do with topping it up with that kind of mega fight.
No, I'd pay for that on pay-per-view.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I'm paying for that. That's fine. That's what a pay-per-view is.
Exactly. That's my point.
Yeah. So no, do you think we'll see it?
I think we'll see it because the money involved is so colossal, and I think everybody, these promoters in boxing, are all struggling financially this year, and they need a bump of payday, and that will be worth millions and millions and millions. Everybody in the country will stop and watch that. It'll be a time, I know you don't probably remember this, when Bruno fought Lennox Lewis, the whole country stopped. When Ben fought you, the whole country stopped. And the whole country will stop for Fury Joshua. That's the one fight the whole country will stop for.
Yeah. I just think there's too much money now not to have it made. That'd be my view of it.
I agree.
The Wilder one would have been a lot of money, but it's not that amount of money. No. Especially on the back of the scenario that the world's had over the last, 6 months, by the summer next year, 12 months.
Yeah.
If you can then revitalise it with that, that's huge. But yeah, what do you make of DAZN, by the way, coming to the UK? I hadn't caught up with you on that one.
Yeah, I'm trying to work out. So they're going to come to the UK for a very cheap price. What's Eddie going to do? Where's Eddie's loyalties like? That's a big question. What happens with Eddie? Because unless they're going to show our cards abroad and not show them, they're going to hook up with Sky and show our cards abroad and then show the foreign fights here, which means Sky won't show any content from the US. So it may just be that the Sky and DAZN are in collusion. That can be the only sensible thing that I can see, that they'll get access to the British fights but not show it on the British people over here. Maybe that's what it's all about. I don't know.
That's what I mean. It's announced as a global package, so it's 200 countries around the world. What I thought was both clever and fairly despicable was the way that they packaged that marketing around putting Luke Campbell and Ryan Garcia and Anthony Joshua, Kubrat Pulev on the launch poster. The launch poster for DAZN worldwide was their Twitter account, which wasn't just aimed at England or the UK. It was their 200 odd countries. They put the pricing up in English pounds, and then the tiniest small print saying, you won't get Kubrat Pulev, Anthony Joshua as part of this. I thought, wow, you've gone out of your way to shithouse that a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's clever. I understand it.
You're not going to show the big UK pay-per-views with English subscribers. The British subscribers won't get it. So therefore, what are you paying for?
If it's aimed at a global, that poster was aimed globally, why put the pricing in pounds when you're not actually getting what you're advertising?
I agree.
So yeah, basically. So for £2, you're getting Luke Campbell, Ryan Garcia so far. So I'm not exactly on the edge of my seat in excitement about it, but we'll wait and see. And the standard line from the promoters seems to be, we welcome more broadcasters, more boxing, blah, blah, blah. But from a fan's perspective, if what it means is that all those fights that were on DAZN in America that were shown on Sky and now just shown via DAZN UK instead, it now means you need a separate subscription to get the same content you were getting last year as part of another subscription.
That's what I see it as.
As a fan, how does it benefit me? It doesn't benefit me. I just have to pay more to get the same content.
Yeah. And Sky won't do that anymore. And then that's why I saw it, because it's got to be that they're going to do it without the UK fights. You just get everything. You just get the other fights that you would have paid for, and you pay for a subscription. They'll probably go up in price as they go along with. And then Eddie will still promote them, but he'll promote some of the foreign fights on DAZN, the UK fights on DAZN abroad, and carry on with Sky. That way, Eddie keeps his hands on everything.
They'll all be in bed with one another doing it that way.
Yeah, that's the way I see it.
Yeah, that'd be my guess. We shall see. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah. Exactly.
We had one question. Mustn't forget it before we go. Where was it? From Boxing Rob 2020 on Twitter. Thoughts on the weird Bellew Coldwell scores, and why are these guys allowed to go on Sky when they show a massive inability not to be biased?
Well, let's deal with all broadcasts. I don't think that is totally set to Sky. I think if you watch David Hay on BT Sport, he just praises all the BT Sport fighters as if they are the second coming of Vasily Lomachenko. And so he does it on BT Sport. I don't think Steve Bunce ever criticises a Frank Warren fighter. So I think that happens there. I think when you go back to Sky, Tony Bellew's his mate. They're best mates. You're asking somebody's best mate if he's winning or losing. He's going to say he's winning. He's not going to say he's losing. Coldwell trained Bellew, used to train Chisora. They're all in bed together. Sky shouldn't be interviewing mates, friends. You should be interviewing independent analysts who are not scared to give what they really believe. So, what do you expect? I mean, I don't think they should be unless they're trying to get that narrative across. I mean, Eddie Hearn had Chisora winning, I think they said. I don't know, but I mean, I just think, you know, there are some good people out there, but I honestly believe that most of them just toe the party narrative, and I guess it happens on all stations, so I presume that's what they're told to do.
Yeah, irrespective of what fans can see with their own eyes.
They're trying to convince you that the sun is shining when it's raining. That's what they're trying to do every week,
Yeah.
and some people will believe that, and others won't. But it's nonsense. No, I find that really irritating. But you know, I think that, you know, I just want somebody to give me an analysis independently and not be scared about saying something certain boxers lost when they've lost, and not be scared to criticise a boxer when they perform poorly. But we tried, and I still go back. If you haven't watched the fight, go and watch Linus Udofia, John Harding Jr. for the worst commentary of a fight probably you'll ever see in your life. Just go and watch it. It's actually on. You can watch it on Sky Sports. When Harding throws, Linus beats him up for 2 minutes. Harding throws a punch, and it's, oh my God, Harding's avoiding those punches. What a left hook he's really doing. It's just nonsense. But I'm afraid, no matter what the fans say, it just happens. When they've got a narrative for a particular fighter, they're going to spill that shit out. And it's just how it is. But it also happens not just on Sky. So I don't want people to think, you've got to look at BT Sport when David Hay's doing the analysis. It does. I mean, I just sit there and put my head in my hands sometimes, because he's just spinning the praising when something is awful. And,
yeah, that's fair. I think that's I quite enjoy Paulie Malignaggi when he comes over and does it.
But he upsets people because he says it as is. I like Paulie Malignaggi.
Yeah, he doesn't have that confirmation bias of knowing one of the individuals involved.
No, I like Paulie Malignaggi. I think he's great. I mean, there are others, but Paulie Malignaggi is brilliant. I like him. Why? Yeah. Because he says it as he sees it.
Yeah.
But they don't give him that much work, do they?
No, because, as you say...
You're talking yourself out of money if you don't play the narrative. So do I blame Hay, Bunce, Bellew, Dave Coldwell, Matthew Macklin? Well, not really, because they're being paid money to spin a narrative. And they feel that if they don't spin the narrative, they might be out of work.
Yep. A special mention before we go, Derek Chisora's speech afterwards. Did you see that?
Which one?
The one that he did his interview straight after the fight. It was the most sane Derek Chisora you'll see.
Yeah, when he said he's gutted, that one.
Yeah, and then he said, you know, everybody just be nice to one another for the next, however long we've got to be doing this.
He'd probably gone round the back and punched somebody after saying that. Joking aside, Derek is a massive... He could be like that 1 minute, the nicest guy you'll ever meet. He was so lovely at times. Then a minute later, he's totally the opposite. He's just... My wife really likes him. He was so... Every time she met him, he was so polite. Do you want to have this seat? Do you want this? Do you want that? He was so polite to her. And he was very respectful and polite. But I've seen him to other people be exactly the opposite. So he's a massive contradictions.
Like a Kugan Cassius interview where got him in the hotel room.
That was bad. Yeah, but that's Derek. That's Derek. So he is. But he's been, whatever you say, and I've had to deal with him firsthand, he's been a fantastic servant to British boxing.
Oh, definitely.
He's been brilliant. He's been brilliant to watch. He's given great value for money, and he deserves every penny that he's earned out of his career.
Yeah. And fantastic servants to British boxing. IFL TV with their 10 years last week. I saw you pop up in their videos.
Yeah, do you know what they've done? To be 10 years in this sport doing anything, you're doing well. We've had our 10-year anniversary this year of doing it since we started our first show. Trust me, to stay in 10 years in boxing, you deserve a medal. So
Yeah.
full credit to them. Full credit to them.
Yeah. I saw you pop up as one of the congratulations videos.
I thought it was like they asked me to do it, and I thought no. I do think they've done a brilliant job, and they've done so much for boxing. And now you've got Rob Tebbett and Boxing Social doing an equally good job, and they're springing up as the next runners. Probably going to take it to another level, I think, in due course. But you know, IFL TV, great. Boxing Social are the new kids on the block that I think could end up being bigger. So
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, it can't be underestimated how good a job Coogan and everybody else at IFL has done. And I know it's not a charity, they're making money out of it, but the amount of graft and hours put into it, and, you know, there are times that I watch it and I've criticised Coogan, and I, you know, speak with Coogan occasionally and exchange messages. You know, I'll be the first to criticise the fact that he doesn't always follow up with the secondary questions that would make life a little bit difficult for people, you know, when he's got the camera pointed at him. But as people are quick to point out, he's not a journalist at the end of the day. He's a guy that goes there, asks questions with a camera, and he's built some very good relationships with people that he benefits from, that those people benefit from, that we as boxing fans benefit from, because we see the sport from a different angle that wasn't there 10 years ago. So I can't do anything but praise.
He was Ricky Hatton's bodyguard. So let's be real, where he come from. So look, I think Cougar's brilliant at what he does, and full credit to him and I think he's a good interviewer. But once again, he's got access to Eddie Hearn that nobody else has got, right? And you've got to protect that. He's not going to try and put Eddie Hearn in a corner, a really bad corner, because that might mean that he doesn't get the access and his business doesn't thrive. So he's got a really difficult balancing act, hasn't he? So that's just how it is.
Yeah, but fair play to him. He's kept it up, and hopefully keeps it up for the next 10 years.
Yeah, I hope so. I think good luck to him. And the more people in the industry doing that, the better. And there's just two ahead of the, as I say, you need competition, and they've got competition with Boxing Social. And I think that's all good for boxing. The two of them can thrive and do wonderful things for boxing for the next 10 years, I'm sure.
Definitely. Right, let's wrap it up.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you very much for watching, and we must be up to about episode 100 next week, aren't we? Is that next week?
I think it is, I think it is. After a big play next week, get a few guests on for our 100th episode. Yeah.
Right, we'll do that. Lovely.
All right, my friend. We'll see you next week.
Catch you soon.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right.